56%. That is how much more money workers with AI skills are earning right now compared to people doing the exact same job without them. 56%. And here's the part that should make your stomach drop. Just 1 year earlier, that number was 25%. It more than doubled in 12 months. That is not a trend. That is a split. A line being drawn right now straight through the middle of the workforce. And which side you land on is being decided over the next 12 months. Most people think AI is something happening to other people. Programmers. Tech bros in San Francisco. They are wrong. It is happening to you.
To your job.
To your income. Whether you participate or not. The only real choice you have left is which side of the split you end up on. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what the 2026 income split is, why it's accelerating faster than any shift in modern history, and the specific, completely non-technical steps that put you on the right side of it. You do not need to learn to code. You need to learn something far simpler.
And you need to start now.
My name is Jenna, and I spend way too much time obsessing over the invisible forces that quietly decide who gets ahead and who gets left behind. And right now, there is no force more invisible or more powerful than the one splitting the workforce in two. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so the algorithm shows you the next one. Because this is one of those rare moments where being early costs you almost nothing, and being late could cost you everything. Now, before we dive into the split itself, you need to understand why this is happening and why it is happening so violently fast. Rewind to 2022. ChatGPT launches. For about a year, it's a novelty. People write poems with it, cheat on essays, make memes. Then something shifted. Businesses figured out that a single worker using these tools could suddenly do the work of 2, 3, sometimes 5 people. Not in theory. In measured, documented, on-the-books productivity. Here's the data that proves it. In the industries most exposed to AI, worker productivity has nearly quadrupled since 2022. Quadrupled. And revenue per employee in those industries is now growing 3 times faster than everywhere else. Think about what that means. When one worker can produce the output of several, that worker becomes incredibly valuable. And the workers who can't become incredibly replaceable. That is the engine behind the split. So that's the setup. Now, let's get into what the income split actually is and exactly how to land on the right side of it. Number 1. The split is not coming. It is already here, and it is measurable. Here's the declaration. 2 people. Same title. Same company.
Same desk.
One of them has learned to work with AI tools. The other hasn't. According to PwC's analysis of nearly 1 billion job postings, the one with AI skills now earns, on average, 56% more. Why does this matter? Because we're not talking about a vague future. We are talking about a paycheck gap that exists today in the same role between 2 people who look identical on paper. One research firm put the raw number at over $18,000 more every single year just for knowing how to use the tools. And here's the consequence of ignoring it. That gap does not stay still. The $18,000 a year difference is the starting line, not the finish. Which brings us to why this particular split is so dangerous. Number 2. Why this split is different from every other skill gap. Because it compounds. Here's the declaration. Most skills give you a one-time bump. You learn it, you get a raise, and the gap holds steady. AI is not like that. The productivity gap between AI users and everyone else widens every single month because the tools get better every single month, and the people using them get faster every single month. Why does this matter? The skills employers are asking for are changing 66% faster in AI-exposed jobs. So the person who started early isn't just ahead. They're pulling away. They're compounding their advantage while everyone else is still deciding whether this is a fad. Here's the concrete picture. In 2024, the premium was 25%. A year later, 56%. If you wait 2 more years to start, you are not stepping onto a level field. You are stepping onto a field where the other team is already 3 touchdowns ahead and running faster. The consequence of waiting is that catching up stops being possible, which leads to the lie that keeps most people frozen on the wrong side. Number 3. The myth that is keeping you stuck. You think you need to be technical. You absolutely do not. Here's the declaration. The biggest misconception about AI is that it's for programmers and data scientists. The data says the opposite. The fastest wage gains are showing up in completely ordinary jobs.
Marketing, sales,
Admin, HR, writing, customer service, teaching, finance. The premium is biggest for people who are not technical, who simply learn to point these tools at the work they already do. Why does this matter? Because the barrier to entry is shockingly low, and the story in your head is the only thing keeping you out. AI today is not about code. It's about knowing how to ask, how to delegate to it, how to check its work. That's it. If you can write a clear email, you can learn this. Here's the consequence. Every month you tell yourself, I'm just not a tech person, is a month the person in the next cubicle who isn't a tech person either, but tried anyway, pulls further ahead of you. The excuse is the most expensive sentence you can say right now. Which brings us to exactly what to do instead. Number 4. The actual skills. Here is precisely what to learn, starting this week. Here's the declaration. You don't need a degree or a boot camp. You need 3 simple capabilities, and you can start building all of them today for free. Capability 1. Learn to prompt. That just means learning to give AI clear, specific instructions, the same way you'd brief a smart new assistant. Vague questions get vague answers. Specific ones get gold. This is a skill, and it takes about a weekend to get genuinely good. Capability 2. Find the AI tools built for your exact job and master them. There is now an AI tool for nearly every profession. For writing, for spreadsheets, for design, for analysis, for scheduling. Pick the 2 or 3 that touch your daily work and go deep. Capability 3. Treat AI like a teammate, not a search engine. The people winning aren't asking it one-off questions. They're handing it whole tasks. The first draft. The data summary. The research. Then they edit, judge, and direct. They become the manager of the work, not the doer of it. The consequence of building these 3? You quietly become the person who finishes by noon what used to take all day. And people notice. Which brings me to the part nobody talks about. What you do with the money. Number 5. Turn the split into wealth. Because earning the premium is only half the move. Here's the declaration. Landing on the right side of the split gets you the raise. But a raise you spend is just a bigger lifestyle. A raise you invest is freedom. The whole point of getting on the right side of the split is not to buy a nicer car. It's to convert a temporary skills advantage into permanent wealth. Why does this matter? Watch the math. Say learning AI gets you that $18,000 a year premium. If you simply invest that premium, just the raise, not a dollar of your existing income, at 8%, in 20 years it becomes over $800,000. In 30 years, over $2 million. That is the real prize. Not the bigger paycheck. The $2 million the bigger paycheck can quietly become while you sleep. The consequence of grasping this is that AI stops being a threat to fear and becomes the single fastest wealth accelerator available to a regular person in 2026. Which brings me to the bigger lesson. Let me zoom out for a second. Because we have lived through this exact movie before. Every major technology in history drew the same line. When electricity arrived, the factories that adopted it crushed the ones that didn't within a decade. When the internet arrived, the businesses and the workers who embraced it pulled away from those who called it a fad. Each time, the world split into 2 groups. The ones who adapted early and the ones who waited until it was safe. And by the time it felt safe, the gap was already permanent. Here's the pattern underneath all of it. Technology doesn't make everyone richer evenly. It rewards the early and punishes the hesitant. It widens the gap between the people who lean in and the people who wait. The wealthy and the ambitious always lean in early, while it's still uncomfortable, while it still feels like a gamble. That discomfort, that early move, is exactly what they get paid for. And the compounding makes it brutal. The worker who adds AI skills, earns the premium, and invests it, ends up not one step ahead of their hesitant coworker, but $1 million and a career ahead. Same starting job. Same starting salary. One leaned in. One waited. The information gap has always been the wealth gap. But AI just put that gap on fast forward. This time, the The split is happening in years, not generations. Let me paint you a picture of what landing on the right side of this actually feels like. It feels like being handed a project that used to take a week and quietly delivering it, polished, by the end of the day. It feels like sitting in a meeting where everyone is panicking about layoffs and feeling a strange, steady calm because you are now the most productive person in the room and you know it. It feels like a coworker leaning over and asking, almost in a whisper, "How did you do that so fast?" and realizing you've become the person other people learn from. It feels like opening your pay stub after the raise and instead of upgrading your lifestyle, quietly routing that entire premium into an investment account and watching the number start to climb. It feels like the fear you carried about AI, the one humming in the back of your mind for 2 years, simply dissolving because you stopped being its victim and became the one holding the tool. And that mindset shift, honestly, from being afraid of the wave to learning to surf it, is worth more than the raise itself. So, there you have it. The 2026 income split and exactly how to land on the right side. 1. The split is already here. A 56% pay gap in the same job that doubled in a single year. 2. It compounds. The advantage widens every month, so starting early matters more than starting perfectly. 3. You don't need to be technical. The biggest gains are going to ordinary, non-technical workers who simply tried. 4. Learn 3 things. How to prompt the AI tools for your specific job, and how to treat AI as a teammate, not a search bar. 5. Invest the premium. Convert a temporary skills advantage into permanent, compounding wealth. There is a window open right now, and windows like this do not stay open. The cost of stepping through it today is a few weekends of feeling a little uncomfortable. The cost of waiting is watching the gap close behind the people who didn't. The split is already being drawn. The only question left is which side you choose, and you get to choose it starting today. So go open the tool, ask it your first real question, and put yourself on the right side of the line. I'll be cheering you on.